A few months ago, on a random Monday in November, Honda announced the new touring version of the Rebel 1100 out of nowhere. There had been rumors of a Rebel bagger for months, but this was the first time that Honda ever confirmed it, so as you can imagine, people were excited. But not everyone. Some people actually started taking to the internet saying that they were a bit let down by the new bike, myself included.
It's a step in the right direction, but for me, I was hoping to see a bit more out of it.
Well, apparently Honda Powersports saw that video, and you won't believe what their response was. They flew me out to Daytona Bike Week to not only check out the bike in person, but actually get to ride it for 4 straight days to see what this thing is actually about. Talk about putting your money where your freaking mouth is, dude. Let's check this thing out. Alright, so check these things out, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked to be here. I gotta be honest, I did talk a little bit of slander against the Rebel 1100Ts in my video, and I still don't feel, you know, the most heartwarming feelings about them, but seeing them in person I feel like is a totally different thing. This fairing is honestly my favorite fairing that I've seen on the Rebel at all. But before we get into that too much, let's give a quick overview for those of you new to the channel, maybe new to Rebels and Rebel 1100Ts, just an overview of what we're working with. So for those of you who don't know, I own a Rebel 1100 myself, but it's just the regular Rebel 1100. It's not the touring model or bagger model, whatever you want to call it. It's just the regular old bike, and it has a manual transmission, not the DCT. So DCT is essentially a form of an automatic transmission that these bikes come with, and the Rebel 1100T all have the DCT transmission. In other countries, I believe they come in manual, but I'm in the US, so they only come in DCT. That thing is crazy. I keep forgetting we're in Florida, so people don't have to wear helmets. That's so weird. But anyway, so I own the Rebel 1100. It's just the base model, not the T, but it does have a lot of stuff done to it as far as modifications. It has a few $1,000s worth of stuff done to it. So it'll be interesting because I'm not necessarily comparing, you know, just the stock model to this. I'm comparing kind of what I've built to be what I think to be the perfect Rebel to the touring model, if that makes sense. Now, when you're talking about the regular base model versus the touring, there's really only a couple differences. I almost said 2, but there's a few other differences there. So the main one is this fairing. The fairing is only available on the touring model as of now. You might be able to buy it separately in the future, but as of now, as far as I know, it's only available here. So the touring model comes with the fairing and then also these hard bags. So these are, I want to say, I'm not even going to try and drop the stats and mess it up, so I'll just put them right here. I think the left one is 17 liters and the right one is something else. But as far as main things go, those saddlebags and the fairing are the only difference between the base model and the touring. For the base model, you can get saddlebags and you can get a fairing. However, the fairing doesn't look as good in my opinion, and it's smaller, and the saddlebags are soft bags and they're way smaller. So I gotta say, just stylistically, I love these bags and that fairing way more than the options that we had previously. What's making that noise now? Some kind of BMW? What the hell? Now, while we're standing back here, I will say one of my gripes with the saddlebags that I've mentioned in the other videos, and that is the fact that not only are they uneven, so the one on the right has to accommodate for the exhaust, so it's a little lopsided, but also it has this support bar right here that's just an absolute eyesore, and I was hoping that I would like it better seeing it in person, but I just don't. That bar is still hideous, I gotta be honest. I'm not sure, I'm sure it's something structurally and whatever, but if you're gonna put a bar there, at least make this little swoop go up to be hidden behind that or something. And my bike has the license plate, or the fender delete, where the license plate goes up here. So if you do that on this bike, that bar is just gonna be not even a little bit hidden by the license plate. Not a big fan of that, but the looks of the bags, I love. I love that they're painted bags. Almost makes it look like a mini, not a road glide, maybe a mini street glide? I don't know. Like a mini Harley, you know? So honestly, these bags would be my ideal bags if they were symmetrical and if that bar wasn't there. Also, on the gray model, I pointed it out before, it's really not noticeable, but when you look at the red one, it's noticeable that this section is not painted. So over here, it kind of just blends in and looks like the color of the bags, but then over here, you can see the entire backside of the bags isn't painted, and it's just not the best looking. What's the front look like? Yeah, that part's not painted, but I don't know. Most of what you see is painted, so I guess it's not a big deal. It's just, I'm all about that booty shot, you know what I mean? And the booty shot on the T just isn't doing it for me. But I digress. What are the other subtle differences? The main one is going to be the matte black frame. Hopefully the camera's picking it up well. The frames on all of the 1100Ts are going to be that matte black as opposed to the gloss black that the base models get. It's all preference, but I think I like the flat black on the maroon, but I don't like the flat black on the black, because the the black really isn't a true black. It's almost like a gunmetal gray with a little bit of blue tones to it, and I feel like when you get the flat black versus the gloss black, it makes it more obvious that the paint itself is not a true black. Whereas on the red one over here, there's nothing that it needs to be compared to as far as the paint. The flat black just kind of makes it all meshed together well. You know, you figure just from factory, whether you have the base model or not, these foot pegs are always going to be flat black. The bottoms there are going to be flat black. That's going to be flat black. The bars are flat black. The shocks are flat black. The fender's flat black. So on the red, I feel like it works and it ties everything together. But on this, I feel like the flat black frame kind of makes it more obvious that this isn't a true black. Another subtle difference that I just pointed out is actually going to be the foot peg bracket itself. And if you compare this to the base model, you'll notice that this one has 2 extra tabs, one there and one there. And the reason for that is that this tab holds onto the bracket for the saddlebags, and then this one is actually going to be where your passenger foot pegs would attach if you had them. Once again, in the US, it doesn't come factory with the foot pegs? Anyway, foot pegs. Other countries, I think all of the other countries, honestly, come with the passenger kit. US does not, but if it had them, they would attach here versus here like the base model. And the reason for that is because of the saddlebags. You want your passenger to be able to put their feet around it, and it obviously, if their feet are right there, pretty much in line with this bolt, that's not going to work. So they extended it, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 inches further forward to not only let them clear the saddlebags, but also have a more relaxed position. And I actually really, really like that. I don't really like the way that it looks right now without foot pegs on it, but I like the idea that once you put foot pegs on, did I say that right? Foot pegs? Put pegs? I'm gonna be honest, guys, I slept like 4 or 5 hours getting ready for this flight, so if I'm talking with mashed potato brains, I apologize. But anyway, the foot pegs, once they're on there, I like the fact that it has a more relaxed position for the passenger, because I do lots of trips with Nina on the back of my bike, and one of the things that she mentions is that her legs are a bit cramped up. So one of the things that I want to do now that this bike is out is try and swap out to this bracket and this bracket from the 1100T so that she can be further forward. The only issue there is that it's a totally different passenger kit. So the passenger seat kit for the T will not work on the base because they attach differently there, so you got to get a different kit. So I definitely plan on doing that for my bike so that Nina can have more comfort. The only downside is that the passenger seat kit is like 140, 150 bucks, and then you also have to buy all new brackets, which I would imagine are probably like another $200 or $300. So it comes down to, okay, now we just spent, you know, $350 to $450 just to have her feet a few inches further forward. So is it worth it? But luckily for you, I'm going to be here to test it out so you don't have to spend your money without knowing. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, there's really no differences between the touring model and the base model. You just get the cool new windscreen, you get the hard bags, the flat black frame, and the different brackets there for the passenger foot pegs. And of course, like I said, in the US, it only comes in DCT. It really does look really freaking good in person, though. I gotta be honest. And if I don't get stopped by at least a handful of people that ask me what it is, I would be shocked. Now, for those of you not familiar with these bikes at all, or the DCT, I'm going to show you how that works right here. And once I'm done talking about it, we're going to go for a quick little first ride. But so you turn the key, and you'll see right here, I had mine off already, but it actually has a parking brake, because unlike a manual bike, you can't leave it in gear when it's parked so that it doesn't roll. So you have to have the parking brake here, which, as you saw, you just pull it up to engage, and you'll see the light there. Then you put a little bit of pressure up on it and hit that button, and it'll go back down, the light goes off, and you're good to go. Now, these can actually, oh damn, 91? No wonder I'm sweating my balls off, dude. Unreal. I came from 40-something degree weather in Maryland. But anyway, so yeah, DCT, you can see that it's in neutral right now. These bikes, you can either leave it in full automatic, and it'll just shift for you at all times, every time, or you can use the paddle shifters right here, and you can do the shifting for the bike. So the thumb right here is downshifting, and then this trigger up here is going to be upshifting. Now, right here is where you're going to set it between neutral and drive, and then that's how you switch it from automatic to manual with that gray button right there. Start it like a normal bike. It's on, and then that's going to be neutral, that's going to be drive. So you can hit drive, and you heard that clunk, and it kind of went forward a little bit and put it into gear. And once you did that also, you see the D pop up right there. So all Rebel 1100s have different riding modes where you can pick between the power, the traction control, and the engine braking. And then for the DCT, you can select your drive mode. So drive mode, that just means that essentially when it's at 1 out of 3, it's gonna shift right away. I'm not describing this well. Okay, so when it's 1 out of 3, it will go through the gears quicker. So meaning that you can get up to 30 and it will already be in 6th gear, and then when you need to get going, it'll downshift. Whereas if you go all the way up to 3 out of 3, that's where it'll hold it out before shifting. So instead of shifting at, say, 2,000 RPM, it'll shift up at 6,000 RPM or whatever. You know what? Let's just show you guys. Boom, baby, we're geared up in our NBT clothing. Got the Air Midline flannel, and we actually have full armor in there, and of course the slide protected pants. Both of those are from NBT clothing. They are the most comfortable clothes that you can wear for riding, and not only that, but they protect you and they look good. I love the fact that I literally flew down here, and because I had limited storage in my suitcase, I literally wore this outfit on the plane and nobody could tell. It looked like I was just wearing khakis and a flannel, but in reality I was wearing all of my riding stuff. Can you do that in a leather suit or a mesh jacket? No, you would look like a nerd. But with this, you look cool and you stay protected, and NBT is actually from Florida down here, and they help sponsor the trip. So shout out to NBT. Check out nbtclothing.com so you can look cool and stay protected on your bike, and don't forget you can use code BURCH for 15% off at checkout. Shout out NBT for keeping me protected, looking cool, and helping sponsor the trip. Alright, so anyway, we are in first gear right now. You can see right there, if we were to put the kickstand down, it would just turn off the same way that it would if you were in gear on a regular bike, and it just puts it straight back to neutral. So you just start it back up and then hit the D down there, and we are in gear. So just to show you all, hit mode and go back up to there, and then you can cycle through with the up and down button. So if you want to change your user mode, you hold down mode button, you'll see it start flashing. I like to do power all the way up, traction all the way down, engine brake all the way down, and then to show you the differences in the drive modes, I'll go down to 1 out of 3 for drive. Alright, so let's get going, and this is the one, try and pay attention. You'll see that it'll shift through the gears much quicker than you might on your own sometimes. So it's already in second gear at 15, come to a complete stop, obeying all traffic laws, and then we'll get going here. All you do is roll on the throttle. You don't need clutch. It's already in second gear, already in third, close the visor, already in fourth. You see what I'm saying? So it's fully automatic, but it shifts really quick, and then it'll downshift for you. I'm not doing anything, but then if you take off and you give it all the juice, it won't shift as quick. You see that? So it's throttle dependent. So I gave it more throttle, so it did shift a bit quicker, but if you're just putzing around, it's just gonna keep you in the highest gear possible and keep the RPMs as low as possible. Now on the other end of the spectrum, if we go over and switch it to the highest setting, you'll notice that it'll stay in gear much longer, so it's more of like a sportier feel. So I'm just gonna go nice and slow the same way we were before, and you can see it's revving out so much more. Now we're in second. Now we're in third. We would have been in fourth or fifth already in the other mode. And then if you get on it, it'll downshift for you. And then if it's winding out too much for you, you can hit the trigger on the left hand and make it shift up on your own. But if you want to manually downshift, you can hit that minus button right there and it'll downshift for you. You see what I'm saying? So even though we're technically in full automatic mode right now, you can still control it with the paddles, and then once you're done, it'll go back to being automatic for you. And honestly, the downshifts are smooth. You feel it and you know it's happening, but like, I feel like most people downshift clunkier than the bike is doing for us right now. All right, so that's an overview of automatic. You can ride it and it will do everything for you. Upshift, downshift, everything. But if you want to take control, you can use the paddles here to go down or up in the gear. And then once it determines that you don't need that anymore, it'll go back to fully automatic. I think if you don't shift for like 30 seconds or something like that, and they notice you get off the throttle, then it takes back over as fully automatic. But if you want to hold down this gray button over here, oh, I just accidentally hit the neutral. Okay, drive. Okay, so hit the gray button, and now you can see the D went away, so it's fully manual. We can rev it out as much as we want, and it's not going to shift until trigger. It shifts immediately. Ready? Trigger. As soon as you do it, it shifts. There's no hesitation at all. It will shift quicker than you can. Okay, so see, there's a red light up here, so we're starting to slow down. So I'll hit the minus button, downshift a second, seamlessly, so smooth. I actually, you know what, guys? Not only did I talk some crap on the 1100T, but you guys know that I don't necessarily have the best things to say about DCT in general. Not that it's bad, it's just not for me. But now riding this in stop and go traffic, I can see how it's beneficial. All right, ready? Upshift, upshift, downshift, downshift. Okay, yeah, this thing rips. All right, guys, well, I fear that I have said too much, because this video was just supposed to be a, like, hey, I'm in Daytona, I'm gonna be checking out this bike for the foreseeable future and giving you guys my long-term thoughts on it. It wasn't supposed to be a full review, just my initial impressions of finally getting to ride it and letting you guys know what is to come. So I don't want to get too carried away with it, and I think I'm gonna cut off the initial impressions right there so I can get out and kind of just start spending time on this thing thing to see what it's really about. But overall, the bike, I'm way more impressed with it than I thought I was going to be. This thing is sick. I mean, just look at it. And for the price point, dude. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to get carried away, and now I am. Hopefully that gives you guys a closer look and a first impressions at how badass this thing is. And like I said, I'm going to have this for another 4 days here at Daytona Bike Week to really put some miles on it and figure out what it's all about. So make sure to subscribe if you are not already, because after this trip is done, you're going to get my final thoughts of, did Honda drop the ball with this thing? Does it suck, or is it worth it? Leave a comment and let me know what you think the final results are going to be. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to the Patreon members for making all of this possible. I could not be doing this without them, because you guys know how much I love you. You get it. If you're not a Patreon member, sign up, patreon.com/lifeofbirch, and shout out to NBT Clothing. Thank you for sponsoring this trip. Catch you guys on the next one. Love you guys. Peace.
Oh, so basic. Hope you play this. Damn, I prayed it. Nice song, and I became this. Old souls fake it. Pay those placements. Fuck shit.
And I'm still waiting on the brighter days. Been a minute, been rough many times more. And I'm kicking rocks to a sky of gray. Praying hard, talk to me before I'm done for.